told myself.
Yes. Feel free to ask questions, all that good stuff. So, here's my sales pitch for learning muscular anatomy really well. My sales pitch is this. You'll make more money as a massage therapist, by the way. That's the biggest pitch. But if you learn your muscles really well and learn kinesiology, I 100% promise you that on multiple occasions in a treatment room, you'll be working on a client, you'll be like, well, I know this muscle goes in such and such a direction, so I bet I could put the arm or leg like this and do this thing. And you will make up a move that's very clever, that I never thought of, that in a way no other therapist has thought of, because you understand muscular anatomy and kinesiology. And so it makes your profession so much more interesting, because you do not want to leave this school. And by the way, there are two types of therapists out there. Sorry, I got to back up a little bit. I'm oversimplifying, but there are two types of therapists out there. And I've met them both. One does a good massage, and when they do 1,000 massages, you go get a massage from them, and they still do that good massage. Nothing's changed. They've learned very little. They might have picked something up at a workshop one day, whatever. Then there's another type of therapist, and that is the type of therapist we are trying to make you guys to be. And that is the type of therapist that literally can train themselves in the treatment room. They're literally working on bodies. They're like doing stuff. They're like, oh, I kind of know anatomy works this way. I'm going to try this thing out because that should work. And they invent stuff. And you see them a year later, and they've invented an entire new massage. They've brought in new moves that they've made up that work really well for their body and work really well in particular situations. And that therapist not only makes more money, but they tend to be a lot happier because they don't get bored. They're always evolving. And I'm not joking about this. I'm not exaggerating at all. You literally could lock this therapist in a closet and just feed them clients, and they come out better every day. Whereas the other therapist is like, I know how to do this massage. And they do it. It's good. It's cookie cutter, but they do it. And it's fine, and they get by. But the other therapist becomes a grand master. I'm not kidding you. In 5 or 10 years, they are just masterful. You're like, where did you come up with that? And they're like, I don't know. I was thinking, I know the skeleton works this way, and I know that muscle goes under here, and I realized the action of it. So I did the opposite, and I put my arm in there like that. And then, and you're just like, wow. And the clients love it too, because the clients tell these therapists, like, nobody's ever done that before. I've never had that done before, right? It's unique. You guys, it's unique. They go to that therapist because they're surprised, and it's fun. And so that's why we're teaching you muscular anatomy. Everybody needs to know the pectoralis major is here, but understanding that it attaches to my arm and goes across and that it crisscrosses lets me know all sorts of stuff about the way I can move somebody's arm to get their pectoralis major to move and to affect its function, and I can apply different moves in there. That's why we're doing this. Okay. Muscular anatomy boot camp. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So, there are, Miss Abelos, you're at a community college, you only paid $4,000, so you don't get the 640 muscles. That was the 10 grand course. You only get 100 muscles. So I'm sorry, you had to go to a real college for that. There are 640 muscles in the body, and many of them, by the way, are muscles that you don't need to study. They're like, sphincter muscles inside your body, or pelvic floor muscles that you're never going to rub, or muscles that are, inside your stomach, things like, anyway, your eyelids have muscles in them, right? So, but even if we only focus on the main ones, make sure you memorize these. This is page 1. This is page 2. There we go. Did you guys get all those? So there'll be a test on this. Yeah, this is on the homework tonight. I'm kidding. It's not. Don't worry. Those are just some main ones. You can't memorize all those muscles. You can't possibly memorize all their actions. You can't possibly memorize all them. So what we want is we want thinking massage therapists, because thinking massage therapists are the ones that invent stuff in the room, and they're the ones that figure out client problems in the room because they're thinking. And so what we want you to do is there is a certain amount of memorization that's necessary, but we actually want to move you away from pure memorization to becoming a thinking therapist. And so one of the things we want to do is look at just how muscles are named, so that years later from now, and you've forgotten every pearl of wisdom that I've told you, that you can still extract information from your head. And one of the ways we do this is to look at how muscles are named. And this chart, this is me standing here, right here. This chart is actually a chart that takes all those muscular names you just looked at, and the ones that appear more often, it made bigger. So if you look at the word flexor, or longus, or brevis, or levator, or rectus, those words show up a lot in muscular anatomy. Posterior, anterior, minor, inferior, those show up a lot. Oblique shows up a lot. Digity shows up a lot. And so if we learn what those terms mean, it really helps you. Believe me, I think I'm very good at muscular anatomy, but I actually don't memorize every last muscle in the body. Of course I know the latissimus dorsi, but like every last foot muscle and forearm muscle, and oh my gosh, there's a lot. But if you understand what these words mean, you actually can start to read the language of how muscles are named, and it will jog your memory. So let's talk about how we do that. And we'll talk about specific muscles too, but I just want to kind of give you an overview. So muscles are normally named in Latin, sometimes Greek and French, but in Latin, which is why I said most anatomy stuff sounds like a Harry Potter thing, you know. And some muscles are named by size, some by shape, some by the orientation of fibers, mechanical actions, number of heads, things like that. Points of origin, insertion, the muscle function, the muscle location. So I'm going to give you examples of these. Kind of show you how this works. By the way, many are named by multiple characteristics there. So, can anybody think of a muscle that's named by its size? Ms. Hendrickson, please.
The muscles in the quad, the vastus.
There you go. That's a beautiful example. Vastus literally means vast. It really does mean very, very large. Vastus. Vastus lateralis, vastus media. And that really, vastus lateralis really means the big muscle on the lateral side of your leg. That's exactly what it means, yes. Ms. Abelos.
The glutes.
Yeah, the glutes are perfect. They're in the gluteal. What that word means is that they are muscles in the gluteal region, and you've got a big one, a medium one, and a little one. A maximus, a medius, and a minimus. That really does mean super big, middle, and little. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Miss Rader.
The adductor, longus, magnus,
Yeah.
brevis.
Yeah, your inner thigh muscles. There's actually 5 of them, but 3 of them have the word adductor in them. And by the way, adductor longus doesn't mean it's the longest adductor muscle, but it's the longest muscle with the word adductor in it compared to the brevis or compared to the magnus. Exactly. That's exactly right. Miss Carrillo, please.
Pectoralis major, teres major, pectoralis minor, teres minor.
Yes. And those muscles really are bigger than the other ones. Now, we got to be careful because they do different stuff, but they're in those areas and they are bigger and smaller. That's exactly what they mean. So that's by size. Well done. Yeah. We have muscles that are named by their shape. Anybody think of a muscle that's named by its shape? Somebody popped up. Oh, Miss Rader, please.
Deltoid.
Mm-hmm. Deltoid is from delta, the Greek letter delta, or is it Greek? And it's an upside down triangle, and that's exactly how your deltoid looks. Yes. Miss Carrillo.
Trapezius.
Trapezius, yeah, exactly. Trapezius is a trapezoid. A trapezoid is a smushed square, and the trapezius actually is a diamond on your back, which is a smushed square. Well done. Thank you. Miss Savarino.
Would the rhomboids count as one?
Oh, because they are a rhomboid. Yeah, That's beautifully said. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but she's 100% right. Brilliant. Thank you. Again, a rhomboid is like a trapezoid. It's a smushed over square. And that is how they look if you think about it. Beautiful. Love it. And don't forget, by the way, the sawtooth one, which comes from a Latin word serrare. Does anybody know the sawtooth muscle? Mrs. Savarino, you still have your hand up?
Oh, sorry, that was a mistake. But is this serratus anterior?
It is serratus anterior. Awesome. Good. Cool, cool, cool. Thank you. All right. Sometimes muscles are named also by the direction of their fiber. So rectus really means running up and down. Oblique means at an angle, think diagonal. And transverse means across, like the transverse plane. Oh, Miss Rader, I adore you. You're doing the hand signals with me. Thank you. What every teacher wants is an engaged student. Anyway, can anybody tell me a muscle with the word rectus in it? Ms. DeVos.
Rectus femoris.
Rectus femoris. And the muscle runs up and down your femur. Yes, absolutely. Miss Hendrickson.
Rectus abdominis.
Yes. And the rectus abdominis literally runs up and down my abdominals. It's part of what gives me my six-pack. Yes. You going to say something else, Miss Hendrickson? Or you just have your...
No, it was just.
You just got to...
do the button wasn't working.
Can't do both at the same time? Gotcha. Awesome. All right, everybody. And by the way, the abdominals are an excellent example of all of these. You have internal and external obliques. They are the diagonal muscles that look really sexy running down the sides of your body. I'd show you, but be inappropriate, but mine are just ripped, and they're just running down here like that. And the transverse abdominis, which is like a belt that runs around you transversely. So, many of the abdominals, though, are named by direction. I almost said something that wasn't true there. Some are named by the mechanical action they do, the very thing we want to do, which is great. I love when muscles are named by their mechanical action. Can somebody give me an example of a muscle named by its mechanical action? Miss Clayton, madam, please.
The tensor fasciitis.
The tensor fasciae lata.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, it's meant to tense up a lot of fascia. That's actually true, yes. It is meant to...
And then the levator scapula.
Yeah, that's a great example. Levator scapula is meant to elevate my scapula, and it's literally called the scapula elevator. Levator scapula. Beautiful. It literally tells you what it does. Yeah, nice. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And we learned yesterday, I think, because of Ms. Avalos' gratitude, that flexors are on the front of your forearm, extensors are on the back. And so many of these also have the word extensor, blah, 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 blah. Flexor, blah, 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 blah. And so you already are like, oh my gosh, I already kind of know what's going on there. And when we get to forearms, you're going to find out how truly true this is. Like, it's amazing what you can do with forearms without memorizing anything. Because they will actually tell you if it's a flexor, extensor, what bone it's running by, and where it's going to. The fingers or the thumbs or the wrist, all in the name. So you don't even have to memorize them. You're just like, oh, you just told me in the name what that is. Boom. The number of heads. So some muscles have more than one head. Any examples of this? Miss Carrillo.
The biceps brachii and the triceps.
Yes, biceps brachii and triceps brachii are great examples of that. And we have a biceps femoris too, which is why we have to say biceps brachii, right? Biceps femoris has two heads too. Yeah, very helpful. And it's helpful to know the number of heads in a muscle because sometimes those heads go off and attach to different things, and so they can do slightly different things. So the other thing to remember is seps. Seps means heads. And I'm telling you this because there's two terms in muscles that get confused a lot. Quadriceps femoris is your thigh muscles, and they are the four heads that make up your thigh muscles, right? Quadriceps femoris. Quadratus means four-sided. So quadriceps is four-headed, quadratus is four-sided, and you have several quadratus muscles, four-sided muscles in your body. Anybody think of a quadratus muscle in your body? Miss Rader.
Quadratus lumborum.
Yes. And by the way, guys, they're not exactly four-sided. I mean, somebody just looked at this and decided, but it is essentially a rectangular muscle right back here, and it's the quadratus lumborum. It's an excellent example. Yeah, thank you. Boom. And I can only think of one muscle that's named by its origin insertion, and that's the sternum, cleidal, clavicle, mastoid, the prayer muscle. So these are we're just starting to introduce naming tricks to you. We will use these a lot more in forearms, hands, and feet, and legs. But and we use them in the whole body, don't get me wrong, but I just thought they're super helpful in areas with lots of intricate muscles where you don't probably need to memorize every last little muscle. But things to think about as we go. And then there are some muscles named by function. So the jaw muscle here that you can actually see on some people when they're chewing, you can see on horses really well, is your masseter, and it helps you with mastication. You're all masticators, and mastication is chewing. To masticate my food is to chew my food, and I use my masseter to do it. And this is a stretch, but there's a muscle called your sartorius muscle, and it's nicknamed the Taylor's muscle. We'll come back to this. There's just an example here. It helps you cross your leg. And I know that sounds silly, but tailors a long time ago used to cross their leg and sit down to sew something. And so that muscle got called the Taylor's muscle. So it's a weak example, but it's an example. Location. I love muscles that are named by location. The temporalis is in your temple, right? But we also are now starting to see how these double up. My pectoralis major is the large muscle in my pectoral region. My biceps brachii is a two-headed muscle in my brachial region. I've named it by the number of heads and the location. Lots of muscles use two of these things to name them. It is not systematic throughout, by the way, because not one person named all the muscles, unfortunately. I really wish we would have just had one of you, any one of you, name every muscle in the human body and use the same system throughout. But what happens is, just like astronomy, when people discovered muscles, they got to name them. And they usually used Latin because it's in the medical thing, but they sometimes named by heads, origin insertion, whatever. You know, we're lucky they didn't name him Charlie, honestly. It could have been worse. Okay, so I will reshare this in just a second, but I want to stop sharing for a second so that you can do this with me. So, I said once in this class that this is the class where we encourage you to touch yourself during class. It's one of my favorite jokes, but it's true. And so we really like you to kind of go through these type of exercises because they really help. Take your open hand and put it on your chest and say pectoralis major. Pectoralis major. Thank you, everybody. By the way, this is important because your open hand is about the size of your pectoralis major. It's touching my sternum. It's touching my clavicle, which is its origins, and I get a pretty good idea where it goes over to. So this is very helpful. You all know the next one. 3 fingers down. Pectoralis minor. Remember, this was useful because the muscle's about this size. It comes from my coracoid process, which is right about here. It goes to 3 of my ribs, and it starts on rib number 3. It goes to ribs 3, 4, and 5. So this sign tells me everything. It tells me the size of it. It gives me a good idea to remind me it goes to the coracoid process because that's underneath here. It gives me a good idea that it goes to the 3rd rib because there's 3 fingers, and it gives me an idea that it goes to 3 ribs, 3, 4, and 5. It's a beautiful sign. So pectoralis major, pectoralis minor. Yes. We like to do 3 fingers up on our deltoid, right? Because the deltoid comes down to a point, and the deltoid has what? An anterior, a middle, and a posterior fibers, right? Deltoid. Sometimes we'll do this for traps. Traps. Just don't forget, by the way, that you guys have traps. Obviously, they go all the way down your back, right? take your hand and make a sawing motion underneath your arm. This is serratus anterior. Serratus anterior. Saw, saw, saw. I like this one. 2 fingers here. Biceps brachii and brachialis. Kind of like you need a fix. Biceps brachii, brachialis. And the reason this is significant is it reminds you that there's 2 heads to the bicep. And it reminds you there's 2 muscles in this area. Biceps brachii, but the brachialis is underneath it. So biceps brachii, brachialis. And then triceps brachii is 3 fingers in the back. We're never going to test you on this, but it's very helpful when people remember muscles. They go, pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, deltoids, trapezius, serratus anterior, biceps brachii, brachialis, triceps brachii. There's something about touching your body, hitting your body, making hand signals, speaking out loud that helps you remember that kind of stuff. So, Miss Carrillo, please.
There was one that my personal trainer did, and I thought it was really cool.
Please share.
He's like, Desiree, you better try to get 5 or you'll be dealt with.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you better try to get by or you'll be dealt with. I love it. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I always remember too, like, tries for the guys, curls for the girls. Anyway, personal training stuff, yeah. Miss Hendrickson.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to mention I read about something in a book about habits, but it was talking about in Japan they have this system for their high-speed trains that they implemented, and it seems kind of like redundant, but like it's like that where you're like speaking and mentioning things that are happening, and like so because when you do a job a lot you kind of just like go on autopilot sometimes, like when you're driving and you just get there and you're like, how did I get there? But they'll be like, the light is green, it's time to go, and they'll just like say things like this, and since they did that, like accidents went way down and they were able to like reduce errors and things like that just by like speaking about what's happening as they're like pointing to it as well. So it's very helpful.
It is very cool. It's a beautiful example. And that's why we do this stuff. We don't want you to go on autopilot. We want it to stick in your head. If it feels funny and stupid and weird, that's even better. All that stuff sticks in your head. And these things start to become things that you can attach information inside your brain to. It builds a filing system. So thank you for kind of going through that with me. Let's go on to the next wonderful slide. I think we've got another one of these. Hold on. Oh, everybody, just really helpful. These are the 4 rotator cuff muscles, right? Point up, supraspinatus, right? Infraspinatus, and we always say teres minor, right? And then subscapularis, right? Underneath the scapula. This is very helpful because the supraspinatus is on top of the scapula. It's above the spine of the scapula. That's what it means. And what does it do to my arm? It helps to abduct it. It helps to lift it up, and it's on top. Infraspinatus and teres minor, they're underneath, and they both help to roll my arm back. But they're underneath and they're back. It just kind of helps you put stuff together. And subscapularis really is underneath the scapula. Now, don't forget, it's actually in the front of the scapula. But we're usually working on people's backs, and so it's underneath the scapula. So supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, subscapularis. Bam. Anytime I say infraspinatus, you say teres minor. Anytime I say teres minor, you say infraspinatus. Can somebody tell me why? Please, Miss Rader.
Because they both do exactly the same actions.
Yes. They both do exactly the same actions. That's right. And from a massage therapist point of view, but that's the correct answer, by the way, Miss Rader. But to add to it, from a massage therapist point of view, they cover the lower part of the scapula in a way that I can't really tell the difference between the infraspinatus and teres minor. Now, if we dissect a person, I can tell because the teres minor comes off the lateral border of the scapula and the infraspinatus doesn't. But the way they both form together and go to the same place, they look like the same muscle. So I guarantee if we were serial killers and we were dissecting somebody, we'd have a very hard time getting those two muscles to separate out. I can't think of another way to put it. All right. Anytime I say latissimus dorsi, you say teres major. Anytime I say teres major, you say latissimus dorsi. Why is that? Oh, Miss Carrillo. Sorry, I thought somebody else was going to click. That's the only reason I was about to say a different name.
It's okay. Well, the teres major is Black's little helper.
Yeah.
So
they have the same action. They essentially insert in the same place. They go underneath the axillary region and reach around in front. Both of them do. And by the way, this is what makes the teres major different from the teres minor. The teres major grabs on the front of the arm. The teres minor grabs on the back of the arm. And that's why one rolls your arm in and the other one rolls your arm out. But again, and I am sure, by the way, in some unique circumstance that these muscles can work separately. Your brain is brilliant. It's often doing stuff. But in general, from a kinesiology point of view, we would work these muscles together. When we pull on the arm and do stuff, both these muscles have to move. These muscles work in pairs. So it's just really good stuff to put together. Miss Young, please.
I just wanted to say something that kind of helps me remember.
Please.
So, infraspinatus is kind of like inferior, and then teres minor, so like they're both like smaller in a sense. So that's how I remember which one goes with which.
I love that. To add to that concept, the latissimus dorsi is arguably the largest muscle in your upper body. So it's not going to partner with a minor. It's going to partner with a major. And this is kind of what Miss Young... Yeah, go ahead.
And infraspinatus starts with N, and then minor has N in it as well.
Ooh, nice. Nicely done. So she has got, by the way, multiple ways of linking these muscles together. I absolutely love it. Miss Carrillo.
I always get confused when it's I say this and you say this because they both have teres in it, so you have to figure out which one.
Yeah.
But usually I separate it by saying the infraspinatus and the teres minor. That's the it couple, like the smaller it couple, and I'm like, okay, this is the minor one then, because the infraspinatus is smaller. I still do you say latissimus dorsi and teres major, but when they both have the same chant, it confuses me. So I just say infraspinatus and teres minor is the it couple.
Good. Got it. So me having two of those phrases are the same confuses you, so that's how you separate them in your head. It's beautiful. I love it. Awesome. Okay. I already talked about this, but this is some interesting things to think about. Let me stop sharing for just a second. I'll reshare here in a second, I promise. Muscles can only do one thing. What is that? Miss Rader.
Contract or pull.
Thank you. Contract or pull. And I love that she said pull, because for this particular example, I want to talk about pulling. If muscles can only pull, and I want my right arm here, this guy, probably left to you, but anyway, my right arm, if I want this guy to go out from the side, and you're standing over here, that's not going to happen with a pull. You've got to be standing over here. You've got to be over here. So if you're not a deltoid or something over here on the outside, it's not going outside. And if I want to get my arm back down, it's got to be inside to get it back down. So abductors tend to live on the outside of my body, right? My deltoid isn't called an abductor, but it does abduction. My deltoid is definitely an abductor, right? We haven't learned it yet, but your gluteus medius and minimus are actually your hips, really. Your gluteus maximus is your bottom. But your hips are actually more formed by your gluteus medius and minimus, and they abduct because they're on the outside. All my inner thigh muscles adduct because they're on the inside. If I want to pull my arm back down, I can't do it from over there. I've got to be here, right? And that's why also if something is occurring in front of my body, that's usually a flexion, even if I'm heading towards front of. So flexors tend to be on the front of my body. They tend to be on the front of my body almost always. And extensors, if you want me to go back, you want to trick Tapscott and sneak in the room right now during the lecture and grab me and pull me back, you've got to get behind me if you're going to pull. And all muscles can do is pull. So all my extensors on my back, and that's why in anatomical position, flexors. Extensors are back here. Flexors have to be in front. You can't curl my fingers up. You can't pull my hand up unless you're in front. So this is not about naming, although sometimes it is, but it's about actions. It's about actions. Abductors live on the outside of my body because they pull me to the outside. Adductors, muscles that tend to adduct, live towards my midline because they pull me back in there. Flexors tend to live in front of me, right? Like my anterior deltoid, it's in front of me, and it can create a flexion of my glenohumeral joint. My biceps brachii lives in front of me. It can create a flexion of my forearm. All my forearm flexors live in front of me. It can create a flexion of that. My rectus abdominis lives in front of me, and it can create a flexion of my spine. Yep. The one place this isn't true is the darn knees. Because remember, the darn, yeah, Mr. Craven's like, those damn knees. Curse you. Because flexion of my knees is actually bending back. But you get the idea. And this, I'm making such a big deal out of a simple concept because it really helps you with kinesiology. Really helps you with figuring out, I do not want you to memorize kinesiology. I don't want you to memorize what the deltoids do. I want you to be like, oh, well, the anterior fibers are here, so probably do a flexion. Oh, middle fibers out here, oh, probably do an abduction. Oh, the posterior fiber, probably an extension. I want you to think that way because that's what will happen in the massage room. When you're like, oh, well, I want to loosen this, I want to get this looser because I don't want it so tight. I'm going to hold it up here, his arm like that, that'll keep this loose. I want it tighter, I'm going to put it back like this. I want you to be able to think that way. All right. Well, hold on. Let's finish this concept and then we'll take a break. Make sure we've finished. Hold on. Boom. Boom. Because we want to get to actual muscles, and I promise you we will. All right. Oh, we are right there. Okay. Good. So this is a good place to stop. Nice. And again, these pictures are a preview of coming attractions. That's what they are. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Overman. That nod lets me know that he knows that I know that he knows what I'm talking about. Okay. Bam. Okay. So, let's do this. Boom. Miss Abelos. Miss Abelos. This is not easy, by the way. You've never seen these pictures before. But Miss Abelos, can you tell me what you think this muscle might be? Is our birthday girl there? Miss Abelos? Breaking my heart. I'll give you a second because you're the birthday girl. Miss Carrillo, can you tell me what you think this muscle is?
Hi, I think this is the iliocostalis.
And why do you think that, madam?
It's down by the iliac crest, and it seems like it spreads out to the coastal part, which is the ribs, and it's not going all the way up to the back of the head. It's like on the spine, but not like the cap area.
Damn, that was good. I'm sorry. That just deserved a little explanation. Yeah, I'm sure you're right, by the way. But even if she was wrong, she just listed off all the things you should know about that muscle, too. She said it hooks to the iliac crest. It goes out to the costals, and she says that means the ribs. And then she said it doesn't go all the way up to the head, which lets us know it's not another muscle. Brilliant. Brilliant. I hope we're both right because I agree with you. She says this is the iliocostalis, and I agree with her, and the book agrees with her, and that was really well done. By the way, it's okay, guys, if you look at it and you're like, I have no idea what it is. Don't feel bad. But I got to give praise where praise is due. That was really well done. Okay. Miss Avalos, next one's yours. Miss Avalos, what muscle do you suppose this one is?
That's the longissimus.
And why do you think it's the longissimus, ma'am?
Well, because it's in between the spinalis and the iliocostalis.
I like that.
It runs from the base of the neck all the way to the sacrum or the aponeurosis.
Yeah.
And it's not inside the luminate groove, so it's definitely the longissimus.
Wow. Again, damn. Those are all really highlighted points. So she's telling you it's not in the lamina groove. It's not quite on the spinous processes, so it can't be the spinalis. It's not far enough out to be the iliocostalis. She essentially said in very nice and anatomical things that it attaches the head to the butt, which is what the longissimus does. Really nicely said, and she's right. Nothing like being right. Good job, birthday girl.
It hasn't failed me yet.
Yes, that's good. Good. Yeah. Yeah.
All the walnuts.
I love that. Miss Clayton.
Well, I'm gonna say spinalis.
And why are you going to say spinalis?
Because we're on the spinal muscles, and they already mentioned longissimus and iliocostalis.
Yeah.
So, and it looks like it's somewhat in the lamina groove.
Yeah, I actually love both the things that Miss Clayton said there, by the way. It's okay to outsmart a test. And she's like, look, I know we're doing spinal erectors. We already covered 2 of them, right? So that's important. But also, this muscle attaches to these bumps sticking out your back. And what are those bumps called?
Your cervical...
Spinous...
The spinal processes.
Spinous processes, and the spinalis attaches to the spinous processes. That's why it's called that. So I suspect she's right, too, on both those counts, and she is. Thank you very much, ma'am. That was awesome. Miss Young. Miss Young? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. Miss Young, what muscle do you suppose this is?
The trapezius.
I think so. Yeah. Looks a little bit like a trapezoid. Let's see. She's right. Trapezius. Awesome. Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Thornton, what muscle group is this? A whole group.
Are those the wrong?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I heard somebody else, though, too. Yeah. Go ahead, sir. What'd you say?
I didn't even say anything. I just asked. I said you said the whole muscle group.
Yeah. What? Yeah. So it's not a single muscle. It's 3 muscles that make up a muscle group. Ignore, by the way, this little piece down here because they're not going to ask about that, and that is a different muscle. But what is this muscle group here that's disappearing underneath the scapula? That's what they're trying to show you. It disappears underneath the scapula. What muscle group is that? Guess? It's okay if you don't know, too, sir.
I don't know.
Okay. Do not worry. No.
Erector?
What? What? Did you say something or not, sir?
Erector spin.
Erector spinae group. Yes. It's the erector spinae group. We've got the stuff going out to the sides. We've got the longissimus. We've got the spinalis hooking to the spinous processes. Erector spinae group. Good job, sir. Thank you. Miss Stevens.
There we go. Yes.
Miss Stevens, what muscle do you suppose this might be? We have not, by the way, studied this in full, but we have talked about it on several occasions. It's a tough one.
Okay.
I mean, for where we're at right now, it's a tough one.
Is that the like the sternocleidomastoid? Clydomastoid one?
Yeah. Yeah, you stumbled for a second, but you said it perfect. It is the
Okay.
sternal, because it hooks to the sternum.
Right.
Clydal, because it hooks to the clavicle. And this is the mastoid process of your temporal bone. It's right behind your ear. That was really well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very, very cool. I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry. I don't have access to my laptop. Maybe the screen just broke, so I can't hang up. I can't see anything. Like, I'm just letting you know. I don't know how to. All I can do is unmute on the phone.
And your laptop just broke?
Literally just broke. Like, I was looking at it, I pressed the button, and the screen just went black.
All right. We've got to talk today about getting you a laptop, sir.
Download the Google Meet app and you can join this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from your phone.
Yeah, from your
And
phone.
it'll look just like lecture.
Yes.
Yeah, like I definitely don't use the laptop. I get on like I have two phones, so I literally use one until one dies. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, guys. Can you do that, Mr. Godot? Download the Google Meet app.
And then I'll send you the link for the lecture.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm trying to do that right now.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Thank you for letting me know.
All right, thank you.
Good stuff. All right. And... oh. By the way, guys, I just left this in here to show you where the carotid artery is. That's the main artery that feeds blood to your head. You don't have to worry about touching the carotid artery. It's quite strong. You accidentally touch it all the time in massage. Why can I not get my... there we go. It's right here. We touch it all the time in massage. You don't have to worry about that. You should worry about if you press a lot of pressure on this side and hold it for a long time while pressing pressure on the other side and hold it for a long time because you're cutting off the blood to somebody's head. But rubbing it, don't be afraid of that at all. But that's where the carotid artery is. That's where they check for people's pulses in the movies for 1 second and determine they're dead, which you would never do. You'd wait about 30 seconds and fill around and all sorts of stuff. But that's the carotid artery. Miss Carrillo, yes, please.
Sorry, real quick, you said
No.
that. Is this also the artery that you see popping when someone's really
Yeah,
nervous or something? You know,
Yeah.
it's, okay, I
definitely.
think that's cool.
Definitely. It's a big artery. And for that reason, it's also very strong. But, and it's the one in horror movies, since you like horror movies, ma'am, that when they get their neck cut, they bleed out fast. It's an artery, and it's like, those horror movies are not exaggerating that. It's like spurt, 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 like, yeah, don't cut your carotid artery, okay, everybody? Just don't do it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Let's see, where was I? Okay. Mr. Manzanares!
Yes.
Mr. Manzanares, what muscle do you suppose this might be?
The deltoid?
Yes, sir. It is the deltoid. It looks like an upside-down triangle, and it is the deltoid. Thank you very much, sir.
Oh.
This is the deltopectoral groove, which means the groove between your pectoralis and the deltoid, everybody. We just talk about it a lot. Because right above this groove is the coracoid process. That's what his finger's basically on, and we try to avoid that because it hurts when we push it. We've already had this, but that's okay. Mr. Lee.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lee, I think your wife's speaker is on too, and so you've got two computers on right now, and that's causing us to have reverberation. Mr. Lee, what muscle is this? It's only half a muscle. There's a half on the other side, but what muscle do you suppose this is?
Oh, let me find my stuff. What's
Might have to turn off the other computer too, sir. But
going on?
you've got two computers on. I suspect you're next to your wife's computer, and so they're...
No, she's in another room.
Okay, well,
I
then
don't know.
you're on two devices or something. I'm going to try to figure this out. But, sir, you don't have to look it up in the book. Do you have any idea what muscle this is? Can you see the muscle, sir?
Yes, I see the muscle, sir.
What muscle do you think this is on the back of this guy's back?
Okay, no, I learned this, I forgot.
I know, I'm trying to stop the reverb on my side.
That's good.
No, we still got reverb from you, sir. Sir, I'm going to come back to you.
All right.
Leave you in the tunnel that you're in right now. All right. Miss Lee. You're in the other room. Let's see if we get reverb from you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that works good. All right, Miss Lee. You got to help your husband with his computer later. Miss Lee, what muscle do you think this is?
I'm not sure. I'm here. It's let me see this.
It's okay. I'm going to go on. I'll come back. But listen, because the next person's probably going to give us the answer. So hold on. Mr. Singletary, quit giving clues. Mr. Jones, what muscle is this?
Man, that's the trapezius.
Yeah, or at least half of it, huh? Yeah.
It is half. That's what confused me for a good minute because
Yeah.
he had already said trapezius, so I was
Yeah.
like, what is that? And then it clicked. It's the trapezius for sure.
Very cool. Thank you,
Just
sir.
half of it.
Thank you. Oh, wait, I got it. Okay, let's go. Okay. All right. Another picture of the trapezius. Beautiful. Another picture of the trapezius. Okay. Miss Hendrickson. What muscle is this in red? There's actually a lot of muscles they're showing you here, believe it or not. There's a muscle here, there's a muscle there, there's a muscle in red, there's a muscle back here. But what is this muscle in red here?
I want to say latissimus dorsi, but I'm not sure if that's right.
Let's see, the lateral back muscle. I never thought about that before. Latissimus is like lateral, and dorsi means back. And this is kind of on the lateral side going to the back. Huh. Yeah! Good job. I'm not making fun of you. I'm
just seeing it from that angle.
It's very hard seeing it from that angle. That's why we want to show you these pictures before, so it's not the first time you've ever seen them. But really well done. Thank you, ma'am. Latissimus dorsi, especially cold like that, everybody. All right. There's from the back side, which makes a little bit more sense, right? Okay. Miss Green, what muscle is this?
Is it the teres minor
So, I love that you said Terry's.
or major?
What makes you think it's the major or the minor? Do we remember which is which and why they're why and all that kind of stuff?
I really forget why which is which.
Do we remember which is on top of the other?
The major is on top of the minor.
The major rides on the shoulders of the minor. I feel like the major rode on the shoulders of the minor and crushed the minor. When my girl was a little minor, I used to put her on my shoulders, so she was on top. How about the minor's on top of the major?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a little figuring out here. Do you know what this little bump is down here?
It's like part of your scapula. Is
Yes.
that going into your scapula?
I'm so sorry, say it again.
Like going into your scapula?
It is your scapula, and we call it the inferior angle of the scapula because it's the bottom of the scapula.
So is the muscle the infraspinatus?
Well, no, hold on. So
Oh, sorry.
No, you're doing great, by the way. Your thinking is generally right. So if this is a teres, because it comes off the lateral border of the scapula, which both teres do, and this teres is all the way at the bottom, it can't attach any further down because it won't be on the scapula, then there's only room above it for other stuff. So this has to be the bottommost teres. And which is the bottommost teres? If the minor rides on the shoulders of the major, who's on top and who's on bottom?
The major is on the bottom?
Yeah. So you can't go any lower than this guy, so this guy is probably
the teres major.
Teres major. Nicely done, ma'am. Thank you.
Yay!
Yep. And pat yourself on the back for getting the fact that it was a teres. That's
yeah,
good.
Honestly, I knew that much, but I always get them confused sometimes. But I think that kind of helped what you were saying about how it hits like the bottom,
Yes.
like it's longer.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. By the way, I'm never trying to make fun of you guys. I'm trying to lead you through kind of a process of getting you to think.
No, it's okay.
That was great.
I didn't feel like you were making
Good.
fun of me.
Good. At least not today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thoracolumbar aponeurosis down there. Beautiful. I love that. Okay. Mr. Craven, what two muscles are these?
The teres major and teres minor.
Which one's on top, sir?
The teres minor.
Yeah. Teres major and teres minor, and everybody, he's saying the minor is on top. The major is down here. Just a different way of looking at them. Right? Very cool. Miss Dang. Miss Dang? Miss Dang, are you there? I know we had a little technical difficulty earlier. Come back to me. Miss Dang? Oh, there you are. Good. Hi, Miss Dang. Miss Dang, do you know what muscle this is? This is not easy. You're muted. I can't hear you. You're muted. Okay. There we go. Nope, you're muted. You muted yourself again. There we go. That's... Oh, no. Unmute again. There, leave it alone. That's good. No, you're muted again. I don't know what's going on. You're having a... There. No, you keep muting. Miss Dang will come back to you. I'm sorry, but whatever's going on, it keeps flipping back on. Yeah. Sorry. Coming back to you. Play with that. Okay. Miss Dimitrak, what muscle is this?
Well, it looks like it's on the scapula below the spinatus. So I'm thinking the infraspinatus.
Yes. Miss Dimitrak, I love the way you said it. This bone running across, well, this is the scapula. This feature of the scapula is the spine of the scapula that turns into the acromion process. This is...
I made up my own word.
Yeah, but I got the point. I love what you said. This is below the spine of the scapula, and therefore it is the below the spine of the scapula muscle, otherwise known as the infra below spinatus. Infraspinatus. Yeah. Boom. Infraspinatus. Nicely done. Love the thought process. What? Well, hold on. Oh. Sorry, guys. Somehow I got shifted to another meeting. All right. Anyway, let's keep going. Stop that. There's another picture of the infraspinatus. Okay. So, Mr. Bose, what muscle is this in red?
Is that the teres minor?
That is the teres minor. The muscle in red is the teres minor. She's right, by the way, but the muscle in red is the teres minor. No, you were right, ma'am. You're 100% right. This was the teres minor. You are right. I love this picture because can you guys see that if these weren't two different colors, they would just look like these wonderful swirling muscles. They would look like the same muscle. If these weren't two different colors, because the infraspinatus has several like strips to it, and this would just be another strip, and you would assume they were the same muscle. So that's why I like this picture. Thank you. Good job, ma'am. Okay. This is super duper hard, Miss Everson. It's super duper hard because it's hard to show in pictures where this muscle exists. But can you tell me what this muscle in red might be?
pectoralis minor?
No, but I do not hate that answer because she's right. The pectoralis minor is in this area. This is on the anterior surface of the scapula. They're trying to show you how you might access this muscle. This is the way I access it, by the way. And this is actually the front of the scapula we're looking at, believe it or not. So, do you know the muscle that might be on the anterior surface of the scapula?
Oh, the subscapula.
Somebody's been doing their homework. Damn. I think that one is particularly hard. I think it's very hard to visualize. Everybody, just so you guys know, let me get my little cursor to show up over here. This is the subscapularis. This is the pec major. This is actually the latissimus dorsi wrapping around in front of the arm, going behind the body. And these finger-like projections right here, that's the serratus anterior. So this is actually the front of the scapula, the subscapularis, underneath it from the back. And Miss Everson is 100% correct. Way to go. Way to go. Okay. Miss Eversole, what muscle is this? You there, Miss Eversole? Please? Maybe? Miss Eversole? Going once? Going twice? Oh, you called. Wait, I called on you as soon as what? I didn't see what you said. Hold on. I have to look. All right, Miss Eversole. That's legit. You go pee, and we'll come back to you for a second.
Sorry, I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Okay, that was quick. That's good. Did you
Well,
want?
I was like in the middle of like done going to the bathroom, and then I was like, oh my gosh.
I love how much information we share in this classroom. Yeah. Hey, it's pee. It's normal. Yeah, I'm with you.
Is that the supraspinatus?
Why would you think it's the supraspinatus?
Because it's sort of like on top of the scapula.
Yeah. What's this feature right here?
Oh crap! I forgot what that's called.
Well, that's a different thing. I don't think there's any bony features called oh crap, but this is the spine of the scapula that turns into the acromion process, and this muscle is on top of the spine of the scapula, and it runs underneath the acromion process and attaches to the humerus. And you said it's the supraspinatus, and you're right.
Perfect.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Godot, how are you doing with your app, sir?
You got it figured out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you?
It's cool. I mean, it's like my laptop, but I'm very annoyed with my laptop. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, I would be annoyed too because nowadays a laptop is like a car. Like you need both. So I don't blame you, and I apologize. Can you see this muscle here?
Yeah. Hold on one second.
Take your time.
Okay.
If you can you take a stab, a guess at what it might be? We discussed it already. It's another picture of the same muscle we've discussed, but that doesn't mean
Okay. All right. Is it? You said we already discussed it.
We did. Yeah, that doesn't mean you're going to know it. I just meant, I was just trying to give you a hint.
No, yeah. I'm stuck between two. Is it infraspinatus?
I love that you said infraspinatus because it is below the spine of the scapula, but the infraspinatus kind of fills in this whole pizza slice here. So that was a good guess. It's wrong, but it was a good guess.
Okay.
What would be your second guess? I hate to tear you away from that answer, but what would?
You're good.
Yeah.
Is it a rhomboid?
No, because rhomboid. I love that you're in the backside. Thank God. Sometimes people say pec or something. I'll be like, no. Anyway, rhomboids are a little bit.
You said we said it before, right?
Yeah, and like.
Oh, Terry's minor. I'm sorry.
Terry's minor. Why? Why do you think it's not Terry's major?
Well, because you're saying that the major is longer, and then it's like under the minor. There's support something like.
Mr. Godot, that was beautiful, sir. That's exactly what I said. Thank you. It is the Terry's minor. He's right. There's room for a major underneath it, and so it's the minor. Yeah, beautifully done.
I won't forget that.
That was great. I don't even know what muscle oh, wow. Okay. Anyway, let's go on to some. Let's see. Mr. Ma.
Hey, sir, I'm here.
Hi, Mr. Ma. Mr. Ma, what muscle group do you think this is? I think they're referring to the whole group of muscles.
This group, give me a second, sir.
No problem. It's okay if you don't know, too. We're learning. But you have a guess.
Oh, yeah. This is longissimus.
Well, this group has the longissimus in it.
Oh, okay.
So
it's a group, right?
It's a group, so it's 3 muscles, and the group has a name. And the longissimus is one of them. The longissimus is in here. So what's the group name?
Sorry, sir, I cannot remember the name.
That's okay. No, of course you can have help. You knew that the longissimus was here. Do you know the other 2 muscles that are in the erector spinae group?
I'm sorry, can I say it again?
Do you know what 3 muscles make up the erector spinae group? Longissimus is 1.
Oh, I cannot remember.
That's okay. So we have a spinalis, a longissimus, and an iliocostalis.
Oh, okay.
Spinalis, longissimus, iliocostalis. And those are all part of the erector spinae group. And this is the erector spinae group. This is what it looks like all together.
Oh, okay.
No worries. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
No problem. Mr. Singletary, please.
Yeah, in that picture, shouldn't the other 2 muscles be going further down towards the pelvic area? It looks like they all just stop.
Sure, the pictures aren't fully accurate, and it depends on, are we showing the muscles, are we showing when they diffuse into the thoracolumbar aponeuroses, that kind of thing, sir. That's why you're getting those inconsistencies. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
And that's why this requires a little bit of detective work. And by the way, if you actually dissect a real human body, it requires even more detective work because there's adipose tissue and fascia everywhere, and you're like, that's when you really need to go know where you're heading. So yeah, that's why, sir. Good catch, by the way.
Because I thought that was a spinalis because it didn't go any further. I'm like, oh, he wants the whole thing, but then I'm like, something's missing there.
Yeah, no problem, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Miss Osuna.
Yes.
Miss Osuna, what muscles, because there's actually 2 here, although they're very similarly named. What 2 muscles do you suppose these are that go from the medial border of the scapula to the spine? Some people call them the Christmas trees of the back.
The rhomboid minor and major.
Which one would be on top if you are correct?
The minor would be closer to the head, so.
More superior. Got it. On top, more superior. And she is 100% right, everybody. Those are the rhomboids. They don't look like angled up like a tree here because the arm is moved up and the rhomboids change then their position. But those are the rhomboids, major and minor. Excellent job, Miss Osuna. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. I love it. Mr. Overman, what's this?
Trapezius.
Okay, stick around for one more, Mr. Overman. That was too easy. Mr. Overman, what's this?
That is the levator scapula.
Why do you think it's the levator scapula, sir?
Well, because it attaches to the superior angle and runs up to, I'm guessing that, is that the mastoid?
It runs, well, that's a good guess.
No. It attaches to the strength processes along the cervical vertebrae.
Yeah, transverse processes off the side of the neck. But you got the right idea, sir. You did really good. And it's running up, so we can tell if it contracted, it would levate the scapula. So really well done. Levator scapula, really well done. By the way, he's right. It attaches to the medial border all the way up to the superior angle of the scapula, and it inserts in the transverse processes, everybody, of C1, C2, C3, C4. Sticks out the side here, which is why it pinches a lot of nerves in your neck. You guys have probably all had your levator scapula be tight. When you feel that little stringy band in there, it doesn't feel like your whole traps. It feels like a stringy band in there, and it's driving you nuts. I just had this like last week. Drive me nuts. That's your levator scapula. Good job. Thank you. Miss Pugh.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Pugh. I don't know why. Miss Pugh, what muscle do you suppose this is?
Trap.
Yeah. Let's see if we got enough. Apparently we have like 400 pictures of the trapezius. All right, trickier one, Miss Pugh. What muscle do you suppose is here in red?
Is it the serratus anterior?
Why do you think it might be the serratus anterior?
Cause it's like those fingers and it's saw-like.
Miss Pugh, you're bringing tears to my eyes. Tears of joy to my eyes. It's not that you guys just know these. It's the thought processes. I just love it. Yes, serratus anterior. You can see it. And by the way, it's going under the scapula to grab onto the medial border of the scapula. It runs all the way to the scapula, grabs on the medial border of the scapula, and that's why it can protract my scapula. Really well done. I really like that. Okay. Moving right along. Miss Rader, what muscle's this?
It's the pectoralis major.
Yes. And by the way, everybody, I think one of the most important features of this muscle is the lower fibers attach up higher and the upper fibers attach down lower. This is why the upper fibers can help with a flexion and the lower fibers can actually help with an extension. This is a very multifunctional muscle. Very, very impressive. And you can see how it attaches to pretty much half the clavicle, the medial half the clavicle here, and the sternum for the first 6 ribs right there. Boom. Beautiful. Well done. Nicely done. Mr. Richards.
Trying to unmute you there.
Mr. Richards, what muscle is this? Oh, gosh, it tells you. All right, Mr. Richards. I apologize for that. Mr. Richards, what are the origins and insertions of this muscle?
So, it goes to the rib cage.
Yes. Which ribs?
And, third, fourth, and fifth.
Yes, because remember the sign. So he knows it goes to the ribs 3, 4, and 5. Beautiful. That's where that's where its origin is. What is it?
Scapula.
Yes, the insertion is the scapula. And what do we call this part of the scapula that pokes out in front where it's inserting? This beak-like projection on the scapula.
Coracoid process. No.
Yes, sir. Say it. Say it with confidence.
Process.
Thank you. Sir, that was really well done. I'm sorry, it's because I revealed the name. I had to give you a little bit more, but that was really well done. I love what he did there. He actually told us the exact origin insertion. Like that would work in an anatomy test where they're really being picky. It attaches to ribs 3, 4, and 5. It has its origins ribs 3, 4, and 5. Its insertion is in the coracoid process. Your book will actually say the medial side of the coracoid process to point out it's hooked to this side and not like this lateral side over here or whatever. But it's beautifully done. Mr. Jones, please, sir.
I'm just wondering, so, what is a tubercle?
It's a bumpercle. Tubercles.
Okay, so it's just similar.
Yeah.
But not the same.
Yeah. I feel like tubercles tend to be smaller and processes tend to be bigger. And I think that's the difference. But to me, they're all bumps and stuff. Lumps and bumps that things attach to. But tubercles tend to be smaller. Processes and trochanters and stuff like that are bigger. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good question. Okay. Where were we? I love that they put a hand on here so you can get kind of an idea of what we're talking about, where we're at, and all that good stuff. Let's see. Where was I? We were picking on Mr. Richards. Oh, Miss
'Oh boy.
Mrs. Sabarino.
Hello.
Hello. What is this muscle here?
I'm gonna say it's the biceps femoris.
Okay, so it is the biceps femoris, the two-headed muscle on the femur.
Oh shit, not the femur. The biceps brachii.
Oh, the two-headed muscle in the brachial region. That makes a lot of sense. That's awesome. Very cool. I realized that was just that was good.
Yeah, I apologize.
Don't apologize at all. And everybody, we can kind of see where these heads are headed. Remember, one head's over to the coracoid process. The other one is actually going up over the shoulder through the brachial groove there, and it goes underneath the acromion process into the shoulder there, and can cause a lot of problems. Anyway, biceps brachii. Beautifully done. Thank you very much. Mr. Singletary. Nice picture of the biceps brachii here.
Yes, sir.
What is this muscle, sir?
The I can never get the pronunciation out. The Caracabras.
No.
No?
No, you want to say coracobrachialis, but it's not hooked to the coracoid process, so it can't be the coracobrachialis. It is in the brachial region, though, so I like that. And that might be a clue to its name. And if you're looking for it in chapter 2 of your book, you will not find it, because it's actually not in the brachial section, because it doesn't help you. It's not in the shoulder section of the book.
Yeah. Okay, you got me now.
That's all right. Okay, sir, going once.
The brachus, no, that was the only other option I could think of.
Is the brachus?
And then I can never get these words out.
I like
brachus.
Brachus macus?
Brachiosaurus.
Brachiosaurus. I think that's a dinosaur, sir. All right. You're pretty close, but I'm going to come back to you.
I hated Latin in high school, and I still hate it now.
All right, so we'll be right back to you. Don't worry. Mr. Snell, what muscle is this, sir?
I honestly don't know either. I was going to say brachialis.
You were going to say what?
The brachialis, I believe.
Well, that would be a good thing to say, sir, because that's the answer. It is the brachialis. It is a muscle that only lives right here. It goes across just your elbow, and it does one thing all day long. What is the action, Mr. Snell, of the brachialis? What action does it produce?
Of the brachialis?
Yeah.
It flexes the arm.
Yeah. It causes a flexion of your your humeral ulnar joint, your elbow. Yeah, that's exactly right. All it does all day long is curl. Yep, much more powerful than your biceps. Yes, Mr. Singletary, please.
Can you repeat that for me again, please, so I can hear it?
Yeah.
Bray.
Key.
Alice. Okay.
Yeah.
Bray.
Key, like in car key. And Alice, like a girl's name, Alice.
Yeah.
Brachialis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just can't. It just does not roll off my tongue nicely.
What is this muscle, sir?
Brachialis.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. My computer just cut out. I didn't hear you. What was the name of the muscle, sir?
Brachialis.
Oh, I'm sorry. I drifted off there for a second, sir. What was the name of the muscle?
Brachialis.
Oh, the brachialis muscle. Yeah, I love that muscle. Yeah. Cool. All right. Sir, Mr. Singletary. Mr. Singletary.
Yes, sir.
What muscle is this right? I just want to give you another one. What muscle is this right here?
The brachialis.
That's right, sir.
Brachialis.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, brachialis. You're right. I love it. Okay. And Mr. Lee.
Yes, sir.
What muscle is this? Sorry, everybody.
Brachialis.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Sir.
Make sure you mute yourself good. Miss Lee, what muscle is this?
Brachialis.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Brachialis. Awesome. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Miss Abelos, birthday girl, what muscle is this?
The tricep.
Tricep. Yeah. Triceps brachii to be precise, but I can't think of another tricep, so she's absolutely right. I only see 2 heads, though. Where's the third head?
It's hiding in there.
Yeah, she's right, by the way, everybody. It's hiding in there. Notice there's something very interesting about this one, which is the long head goes across the shoulder joint. So even though this muscle's main job is to extend your humeral ulnar joint, your elbow, it can actually also cause an extension of the glenohumeral joint. It can actually cause you to extend or even adduct the glenohumeral joint, which is really weird. When you're doing pull-ups, you don't think that you're working your triceps a little bit, but you are. It's amazing. Very cool. Good job, ma'am. Thank you. Let's make sure you're right, but you are, of course. Of course you're right. Miss Carrillo? Miss Carrillo. What muscle is this?
I know that's on the coracoid process.
Yes.
And it's in the arm, so I'm gonna guess coracobrachialis. I don't know if that's a real word. I made up my. Oh.
Okay. What Miss Carrillo did here is where we want you to graduate. I don't mean there's not more stuff for her to learn, but that is how we want your brains to work. Where she knew her anatomy enough to be like, that's on the coracoid process and it's going over the brachial region. Coracobrachialis, that can't be it. And that's exactly it. That's exactly the type of thinking we want, right? You will never have to memorize that muscle ever. It'll be with you forever because you understand the thought process. And you know the muscle, you now know basically its origin and insertion too. Right? It's amazing. Good job, ma'am. Mr. Singletary, yes, sir. That was the one that you thought you had earlier, sir.
Yeah, pronunciation, please.
Coraco?
It's coraco.
Yeah.
Brachis.
Hold on. Don't worry.
Sorry.
But, sir, but stick with me for a second. So, coraco has 3, syllables to this, what I'm trying to say. So, coraco.
Coracobrachialis.
Now stop.
No.
No, that's you're fine. But I just want to let's nail the first part. Coraco.
Coraco.
Yep. Coraco.
Coracobrachialis.
Stop. You're helping other people, by the way, learn it too. Don't worry. We're gonna get there, but just don't run ahead yet. So, coraco.
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 Okay, forget that for a second now. Bray. Carkey. Carkey.
Brachii. Oh, okay. Brachialis.
Yeah, brachii, my girlfriend Alice. Brachialis. Say that again.
Okay. Question. CHI is pronounced basically like K-E-Y?
Yes.
So I can say it? Okay.
Yep. So, brachialis. Say that.
Brachialis.
Say it again.
Brachialis.
Say it again.
Brachialis.
Now, coraco.
Coracobrachialis.
Yes.
Okay. Coracobrachialis.
Thank you, sir. But yeah, sorry, sir. I'm glad you're doing this, by the way, because there's other people in the class that need it too, so it's really helpful. I just want to break it all the way down and make sure we nail the first part before the second part. By the way, since I have you here, sir, what muscle is this?
The coracobrachialis.
Oh my God! Beautifully said. Oh, no wonder the birthday girl wants to partner with you. She's like, his pronunciation. Perfecto. Coracobrachialis. It's beautiful, sir. Really nicely done. Thank you for going through that exercise with us. I really mean that.
Oh, it's no problem. I've had trouble with it. A lot of these words, and it's
You're
just
not the
like
only one.
I can't get them out, so I don't know what I'm saying.
No, I get you. Yeah. Awesome. Miss Clayton. This one's a little tricky, Miss Clayton. What do you suppose the muscle in red is here?
Brachialis.
Wait, just say it again. I just want to make sure I heard what you said.
Brachialis.
Brachialis. She's right, everybody. The point they're trying to make is the brachialis is underneath the biceps brachii. It is still on the anterior part of the arm. It's still on the front of my arm, but it is deep to the biceps brachii. The brachialis is deep to the biceps brachii. That's the point they're trying to make in this picture. Well done, Miss Clayton. Well done. Let's see what we got here. No, let's go back. We've got another couple seconds here. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, Mr. Craven. Oh, he's gone. How many questions in the test tonight? Oh, good question. Should we, we've gone through all these once, which I think is a good exposure. We're going to do this again. I think we should stop there.